constitution. But I wanted to ask maybe the host if they know about that, or they can explain a bit the difference between Charangu's party and the Citizens Coalition for Change. That's what I wanted to ask as you proceed with the program. Thank you.
Thank you, citizen. I don't know anything called Shavangu's party. Party. I've never heard about that party. And what I know is the Triple C that is led by the champion in chief, Advocate Nelson Chamisa. Anything else, everyone, to me, it's drama. We don't know anyone called Shavangu. We don't know if he has created a party, he has started a party. We don't know about that. We have heard, of course, of an importer moving around saying that he is an acting Secretary General of the Triple C. But as has been explained several times by several individuals, that everyone now know that we do not have a position of Secretary General. Even if you go through the constitution that we are talking about, there is no Secretary General. There is, of course, a Secretariat Department that that will be that we have individuals that are employees of the party. They are not appointed. They are not the members of the Secretariat Bureau will not be appointed. They will also be elected. They will be employees of the party. So the constitution is very clear. I think I'll try to go to that clause about the secretariat. Why, when we started, I said, even any judge, any lawyer, any person who studied the law should be able to interpret the simple and straightforward constitution that we are talking about. It's a very simple document. Those that have gone through it, those that have read it, I know you can testify or confirm what I'm saying right now, that it is not a complicated document. It was a document that was made for the people so that everyone will be able to understand it. And we have already also explained some of the reasons that delayed the unveiling of the Constitution. I've seen social media is awash. People like Jonathan Moyo going to town and coming back and going back again, saying the Constitution was being hidden. The Constitution was not being hidden. It has always been there, and it was just waiting for the right time for it to be unveiled. And by now, if we're not having all these shenanigans by Shabangu and ZANU PF, that constitution would have been long unveiled at a convention. And that convention is still on the cards as far as I know. However, it is going to be done, or whenever it is going to be done, it will be adopted by the people, which means that people will have an opportunity to look at it and put in their input. If there is anything that needs to be corrected, anything that needs to be amended, a constitution is, it's a live document that will always be visited. So the opportunity was always going to be given to the people so that they look at it and put in their input. And again, I have to reiterate that we know and we understand the environment in which we are working under. Our environment is not conducive, ladies and gentlemen. Our environment is toxic. Our environment is dominated nezvigevenga zveZANU-PF. Our environment has FARS. Our environment is fought by the system, is fought by the Central Intelligence Organization. It's even fought by the army, by the police. So we have to be very careful, very strategic, come up with strategies, come up with ways of evading all these impediments. So that may also contribute to the leadership delaying in unveiling the constitution. I can tell you that if that constitution was long there, they will be using it against us right now, and yeah, and you wouldn't want that to happen. So we have to find a way of surviving in this hostile and harsh environment. And sometimes it includes limiting, what information we give away, because they, ZANU-PF, have always used our information against us. They have always found one or two people that are wanting, that will end up giving them strategic and important information. Information is key. Nowadays, they even say information is the new money. If you have information, you can counter anyone. You can plan against anyone. You can strategize against any organization if you have been given strategic information. So information is key. So closing the holes where information flows, where information can leak, is should be part of our counter strategies against ZANU-PF. And I must say that has been done and done very well. Are you trying to give? I'm seeing Chennai is here. Other people are requesting. Are you seeing them, Barbara? Can you hand over the mic to Chennai so that it's not only Chief speaking and speaking? Nyaros, you can go ahead. Can you hear me? Barbara, can you hear me?
Yes, Chief, I can. I'm trying to invite Chennai.
Okay.
I can't see it.
Okay. Barbara, I'm gonna go out and then you can give me the mic also that I can help you. I see you're struggling, sister. I'm at work, but I will help out. So I'm gonna drop and then come back, and then maybe you can be able to help you.
Okay. You're still there, Chief. Chennai, I've invited you.
Um, excuse me, host. As I wait maybe for the two speakers. Can you hear me, host?
Chief, I've sent you the co-host invite. Oh, Mambo, you're here. I'm inviting you to co-host here.
Continue to request the mic so that we can continue to have a conversation whilst we wait for our speakers. Go ahead, Barbara.
Before I cough, I just want to know why is John so concerned about this constitution, and yet he's the one who was saying CCC does not have a constitution. Now the constitution is out. Maybe the article that you are saying was not supposed to be there in the constitution. That article where it's saying is clearly stating that let me read for those that did not see this this constitution. Let me read for them, chief. Article iri kurwadza Johnson Nakabias. The article which says is Article 7, and ndayozokuerenga zvakanaka. It says, am I audible, Chief? Hello? Hello? Can you
You are
hear me, Chief?
audible.
Oh,
You are
okay.
audible. You can go ahead.
Okay. The article that iri kurarisa vanhu nebhutsu, it's the article that says Article 7, sub Article 3, 7.3, there shall be a leader. Sorry. There shall be a leader and change champion in chief, and in brackets, Vice Advocate Nelson Chamisa, who shall be the administrator and president, tasked by the citizens to champion, lead, and guide processes of the movement in between sessions of the CNA until an elective citizen convention is held. The change champion in chief shall be the chief spokesperson and chief representative of the CCC, as well by the change champion in chief. So everything that Chabangu did, and as they said, remember they were saying they've got the constitution of CCC. And now, if this constitution that they claim to be having does not of President Nelson Chamisa, that constitution is null and void. Um, if they have a constitution that is written otherwise, and that is that has got positions of Secretary General, and I'm told he produced a constitution for MDC, claiming it is for CCC. So why all of a sudden? Sorry, people who were saying CCC does not have a constitution. Now they are busy marking the constitution that they claim not to be there. So what could be the reason? Maybe I think panapa ndo patakuda maanalyst kwete zviya zvokuti maanalyst anongoanalyza everything instead of kuti aite maactivist. I think I'm yet to know why is Johnson so concerned about this, and yet is the one who are saying CCC does not have a constitution. Mambo. I don't know what's happening with Chief. He's acting as if he's in Muzoba Muramba Fungo. Let me try CCC now. Chief, I've invited you again to co-host. I'm good. Like you are here. I'm dying, doctor.
Oh my goodness. We can give you some medication. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, at least you are here. You can give
Well,
me
I'm
some
sorry. I
medication.
apologize for
Um,
the noise. I'm on the road. You know, it's Thanksgiving week kuno, and it's
okay.
raining. So Zagato press Sister Barbara. But thank you for having me. Zirigudi.
Imi vari munongokomborerwa Thanksgiving uku mvura iri kunaya uku ikonomi yenyu is booming. Ko Zimbabwe chii chatakatadza dai takatiyotadzei kuZimbabwe.
Ameno. Hanzi makaroiwa neakafa. That's what happened.
Do you want to chip in? I'm trying to make Chief the co-host. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, he's now back.
Oh, he's
You can
go.
go ahead, Doc.
Oh, sure. Hi, Chief. Hi, Citizen Hande and Zimbabwe. We are great to see you and great to see everybody on the space. Happy Thanksgiving. If you are in America, it's this week. Um, and of course, I love the topic up there, Sister Barbara. I'm sure a lot has been said already. But listen, the Triple C Constitution is perfect. It's working for us citizens. What has not worked is the Constitution of Zimbabwe, where we have allowed people who don't care for our country to abuse my state institutions. So, as far as people like me who are very lay are concerned, Sister Barbara, the Triple C Constitution is the best you could ever have. And if you look at the onslaught yatinayo izvozvi using my state institutions, hapana chinonzi chingaitwa nhasi nema-citizens which doesn't come under attack from the mafia. So they will tell you if you paint your house blue, they said you should have painted it yellow. We paint it yellow. They say, no. This time you should have done this. Now vakutoda kuba nemusoro wapresident wedu and everything. Kana tisina secretary general position vakuicreata ivo. You know, it's just anyway. I am just saying, Sister Barbara, look, as Zimbabwean citizens, we need our country working again. We need our institutions, including the courts, including the parliament. We need things to work properly so that we not operate like we are in a banana republic. My by-elections that took it, they are really unnecessary. Of course, we are never ever gonna let ZANU-PF just have its way, because tikadaro tinenge tafa. But you know, sometimes you survive. But kana tikasaenda out there tikanorwisa kuti tiprotecte mazones of autonomy edu, especially these urban areas kunana Bulawayo kunana Mabhuku, ZANU-PF will keep doing more bad stuff. Don't think they will stop for any reason. So that is why, you know, the focus should be on, listen, we need our country working again, and we are not there yet. Anyway, again, Bomira Panapa, Sister Barbara, Chief Shoshe, take it away.
Before Chief Soshe comes in, I just want to greet my counselor. I've got my counselor who's here. Ward 26, Nketa constituency counselor. Councillor Mpumi, how are you, my counselor? Thank you for joining this space. Chief.
Yes. Thank you, Councillor. We welcome you. We'll just give you a mic so that you can go ahead and greet the people and say something here. But meanwhile, let's hear from Zimbabwe. How we are. I always. I love your name. I love it. Champion tonight.
How are you, Chief?
I'm all right.
Zitarema born free.
Yes.
Born free, but not free. Chichakadai so naimi.
I will free ourselves.
I just thought born free, but we don't have freedom. We're in a giant prison.
Freedom is
Forced
coming.
into incarceration. Everyone, the whole nation, we're in jail
Freedom
because
is
of
coming.
ZANU-PF. tiri mujere rinopisa, because of ZANU-PF. Anyway, what brings us here today, nyaya yedu constitution. One thing ZANU-PF have proven time and time again, their tool that they want to use on Zimbabweans is confusion. When we think about the coup in 2017, they orchestrated a series of lies that had us, hook, line, and sinker. Tikambonzi munhu adya ice cream. Iko zvino wakambozvigaya wakagara uchiwa saka kwanzi vakadya ice cream. Ice cream yacho yange ine something. Chino. Just a pack of lies to further to engender themselves into what they're trying to do, which is to really make Zimbabwe their personal property. And those lies have carried on. And once again, we in some amongst us who forget could we are dealing with the masters of deception. What they try to do is to set up a narrative, and then they say it again and they say it again and they say it again until a few people get confused and whatever, and there you have it. I was reading people's tweets yesterday and today, talking about the constitution. I had some people they'll just throw away words like, oh, who wrote this? They don't really understand, Gutichi. What is the purpose? When Triple C was formed, it was in response to say, okay, we see the things that ZANU-PF are up to when they pulled their first imposter in Douglas Monzora, and how he tried to use the constitution, and the courts, whatever happened, connived with him to do that. And so we ended up with the constitution, which President Nelson Chamisa worked with his executive, worked with his team on the ground, all the consultation that they did, and they came up with this new baby, Triple C. And boy, oh boy, the ZANU-PF were not ready for that. They thought then, kudahata vawana manje, coming into 2022, they were like, no, this time we've done it a year before the election. We chatova cha Douglas Monzora Munwedu. But no, the people's president, the people's movement was born. And with that, we made sure kuti loopholes that were there before, like that were used before Nana Monzora, they were shut down. Because now you literally have to be, we are now immune even from infiltration. Even if ZANU-PF tries to buy people like they've done in the past that we have experienced, or they try to create friends within, it will not work, because we have secured the struggle and really made it, such that without President Chamisa himself saying, I now want to be Douglas Monzora. Avarume, there's nothing. They can't do anything. And this is what we have done. And I don't know, people want to be bogged down in complex words and complex paragraphs and what have you. But you can tell yesterday, I managed to join the space, Yana, Jonathan Moyo, just for like a minute, 2 minutes. And when I asked the mic for the mic and I was kicked out, I left. But they, you could tell, you could hear his voice. Could the guy, if you could have just cried, you would have cried, because they were really not expecting us to, for the citizens movement to be this well prepared ahead, knowing that they had these kind of funny things up their sleeves. And now here we are. If you are not President Chamisa and you are not, as the constitution stipulates, zvana SG izvi vaakutanga iko zvino kuti kwanzi emdc ndiani MDC? Isusu takatozvisiya dhara zvana MDC izvi. What are you talking about? This is what his lawyers are saying, but you can see that really, really and truly they're in sixes and sevens over the scenario. As much as they try to control the state apparatus, they try to even what we saw in parliament, the Speaker of Parliament, Vamdenda, as an advocate of the law, having his lawyer attend and to hear the interdict being read out, and then to go on into Parliament and say, actually, as long as the document is not there, I'm not going to stand by it. I think that was very mischievous of him. But we know that this is what they're up to. They are trying by all means necessary to destroy the citizens movement, to destroy democracy in Zimbabwe. But we are hanging on. We are hanging on. We are in charge because imagine you have the police, the courts, the military, but you can't. Is proving an impossible task for them, and it will continue to do so, because one thing they cannot separate the struggle or the movement from are the masses, and as long as you and I stand and say, this is who we want, this is what we stand for, they cannot is this that Nkululeko is joined now as well. Dr. Swanda is on there. Perhaps you also want to share the mic with him.
Yeah, I'm trying to give him the mic.
Okay.
Barbara, if you can see Citizen there, that's Dr. Nku.
I'm trying to give him the mic as well, but I don't know what's happening.
Okay, just keep trying. We'll get him. Tagarada Taura Kare, we'll make everything happen at Perer, where Sechange Radio. So we might have technical issues here and there, but eventually we'll do what has to be done. So Dr. Ngululeko is now here. We are glad, and we'll get him on the podium in no time. But meanwhile, you can request a mic and come up here and say a few words about the Constitution. Have you seen it? Have you read it? If we can post it there. I don't know if our technical person, Estella, has been able to get the co-host so that she can post it there. Those that haven't seen it, you can go through the Constitution. It's a very simple document, very straightforward document, made so that it can be understood by everyone, by all citizens. It's a constitution for everyone. We'll keep trying to give Dr. Nkululeko the mic so that she can you can go through it. I'm trying to multitask. I'm trying to open my constitution here. There's something that I mentioned some time ago about the secretariat, and I wanted to support it using the clause in the constitution. There's a clause, Article 11 is very clear about it. But what is interesting is Article B, the Berus that are within the structure for Triple C, the so-called party that has no structure. It does have a structure. People just don't know it. Even today, as we are speaking, the CNA that I'm going to read about here was meeting. The CNA is the decision-making board, the highest decision-making board of the Triple C, and it's constitutional. It's there in the Constitution. Article B, I'm going to read. I know most people don't want to read, so I'll read for you. I was a teacher for 15 years, so I understand. I understand that students don't want to read. so the teacher has to read for you and explain a little bit. And I know after that, you'll be able to also go and explain to other people. That's the purpose. So we're educating each other here, as we said. I'm seeing Dr. Ngui is not yet in there. As soon as he comes up, I'll stop whatever I'll be doing. So and people start calling me. Akubi says the executive and day-to-day functions of the CC shall be carried out by Berus by the CNA, CNA standing for Citizen National Assembly, which shall define their functions. 8, Beru shall have 2 members. 8, 10 champions assigned to shall become ex-official members of the CNA. 8.4, the CNA shall assign any champion to a Beru. 8.5, the Beru chairpersons shall present a report at each session of the CNA, which is the Citizen National Assembly. And there we go. People have been going around saying President Chamisa is making decisions with a few individuals. I can confirm to you that the CNA has been meeting even before the elections, and that's the highest decision-making body of the party. So why would someone say one person or a few individuals are making decisions on their own? 8.6, the following Berus shall be established. Listen to the Berus. 8.6.1, we have the organizing Beru, we have the fundraising Beru, we have the information Beru, we have the elections Beru, we have the policy Beru, we have the international relations Beru, and we have the discipline and grievance handling Beru, and then we have the women Beru, the youth Beru, and any other Beru as the CNA, not President Chamisa, as the CNA may deem necessary. When I was reading there, students, just joking, did you hear me mention Secretariat Beru? Did you hear that? No, you didn't, because there is none of that nature. It doesn't exist. So when you hear Champion Ostalos talking about that the secretariat doesn't exist in our structure, you will not just be saying something from the air. It's the truth. Article 11 answers that and supports what Champion Ostalos has been saying in most of these press conferences. 11.1, there shall be a national secretariat consisting of employees, mark that word, of employees of the movement with such offices as defined by the CNA. 11.2, all employees, mark that word again, all employees in the secretariat must subscribe to the aims and objectives of the party and be vetted and approved by the CNA. So the secretariat is not a bureau. It's not a department. It is just a secretariat, which is not elected, which is also not voted in, which is also not appointed, as some people would want to think. But it's made up of employees. So people have to apply for the job. And the CVs looked at their track record. Obviously, they will just be looking at their secretarial skills or their skills to do or carry out secretarial duties in a political party. So there you have it. So that's the answer. So if our courts really were courts that were authentic and real and wanted to face facts, we should not even be talking about Shabangu today, because this very constitution debunks that, and it demystifies everything that Shabangu and ZANU-PF are doing. It's non-existent. That position is non-existent. And I think if you also listened to the court proceedings today, you will see that Shabangu himself or his team or his lawyers put themselves in a very big bind because they came to the court carrying a constitution from the MGC alliance, and that's the constitution that they were saying is Triple C. So all they did to that constitution, very embarrassing, very embarrassing. They removed the MGC alliance logo and replaced it with a Triple C or so-called Triple C logo with someone pointing a finger upwards. But that's not what is on our constitution. If you open your constitution right now, wherever you are, you will see that on our constitution, the logo, which is the logo that we have been using, has President Chamisa. It doesn't have a finger. So all those things, that were being done are now coming to use. That we have two logos that were being used, but the official logo is known, and the logo that is on our party, on the real Triple C, on the actual Triple C, bona fide Triple C, is very different from the one that Chavangu and his gang have created. So if again our court system was a court system that can be talked about, then it would have dismissed the issue of Shabangu a long time ago, with cost for that matter. Dr. Nku, we really want you now to come up. If we can't get you to be on the space, then Chennai, you might have to call Doc so that he can speak through one of your gadgets.
Okay, no, I will. Just I think I'll have to drop. Will I have to drop off to do that? I don't know. But one thing I wanted to say is that, like you have done, even in the Bible, it says we're encouraged to rightly divide the word. And I like the way you've done it, Chief, that you've actually taken the time to read and understand what the Constitution itself says. And that includes, even the fact that people are saying are in uproar over, well, not uproar, but the few Varakashis that we have heard from, including Professor Moyo, saying that why is President Chamisa's name in there? Oh, I can see Dr. Swanda is here. I will keep quiet and take my place in the terraces, and in case we drops off again, I'll just go on mute.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Anku. We appreciate you coming here such a short notice. Please go ahead and talk to the citizens.
Well, look, I think that, and thanks for having me today. And I think that, the discussion we're having here is certainly very important. But I also believe that, the majority of our people understand the nature of the struggle that we're in. I wonder if I'm still on. Have I dropped off again?
No, you're on.
I'm still on. Okay.
You're good.
We can hear you.
Thank you. So I think that a lot of Zimbabweans understand the nature of the struggle we're in, and that the citizen leadership, that includes most of yourselves that are here, will understand that the writing of the Constitution is a response that has every intention to curtail the attempt by the state to, in my view, violently take over. If you juxtapose this with everything that's happening, for a minute, we've got to read this situation as a political rather than merely a legal situation, which is that most of politics is what happens. It is not what we ought things to be. It is what eventually happens. And if we act at this moment in such a way that we do not prevent the attempt to destroy the democratic movement in the country and the democratic aspirations of 90% of our people, that we would have been very irresponsible and that President Chamisa would not have taken out the responsibility that has been bestowed on him several times by the majority of our people. And therefore, that the most critical reading and the most responsible thing that the president could do at this moment is to protect the people's movement, but also protect the people's aspirations for change. And that should be done no matter what. And that in doing so, we ought not to please ZANU-PF. We ought not to make them happy. And we ought not to appeal to them because we know that, these people understand simple language of continued oppression of our people and a selfish service to themselves and a few individuals within themselves. And therefore, there should be no one here who should be forced to feel pressured about the position that's absolutely, in my view, essential. The position to defend the people's movement. Every name I've seen in the meeting here today is mainly people I've seen throughout the struggle over 5, 6, 7 years, and some 10, 20 years. And that it will not happen over our dead bodies, no matter how it comes and from where it comes. This movement that we have sacrificed so much for, and this country that we love so much, will be defended, and ZANU-PF ought to be warned about that, and all those that would work with ZANU-PF ought to be warned. We are tagged at different levels. Now it's the movement. People are tagged at personal levels. Do they want us to write constitutions as individuals? If they do, we will. But our families and the people we know are tagged, approached in different ways. And we deal with that now. Our own comrades will be made to doubt our commitment to the struggle by all this noise that's being made. The fact of the matter is, no matter what anybody does, what needs to be done will be done, and we will make no excuses to anybody about doing the right thing by the people's movement. The decisions that were taken since January 2022 to the decisions that are being taken now were all justified and were all correct and all served a purpose in their time. And we will defend that purpose. We will not allow people who have ruined our country to tell us how to run a movement that's only been showing success, born in January 2022 and winning elections 2 months down the line in March 2022, and almost eviscerating all of ZANU-PF in 2023. You can see that the mark we have is a mark of success, and that is not something that we are going to give up. And those that have the hope that maybe they will dissuade our champions, they have a long way to learn that the victory that we seek for the people of our country is going to be attained at no matter what they do, and that we're willing to give it what it takes. So I think that what's important here, outside all the rhetoric, because we know why there is all this rhetoric, what's very important here is to notice one thing. The commitment that ZANU-PF has had in destroying and plundering our country will never be stronger than the commitment that President Chamisa has in keeping his promise to the people of Zimbabwe and in keeping the idea of democracy alive and pursuing the actual attainment of democracy. And that will be done today as it was done yesterday, and will continue to respond. And I'm sure that it will continue to respond appropriately to the circumstances as they present themselves. The noise will come, and we know whence it comes from. And because of that, what President Chamisa will continue to do is go to the people, to talk to the people, listen to the people, work with the people. And that is the absolute right thing to do. It's about the people of Zimbabwe. It's not even for President Chamisa about just Triple C. It's about the people of Zimbabwe, and that is what he's going to do, no matter what it takes. If it means that Triple C works day and night, that Triple C is attacked every single day, if it means you call him names, I'm sure he's been called so many names before, and he will continue to defend what is right, even when there's nobody to praise him. And he says that he doesn't need to be praised to do what is right. Oh.
Thank you.
Look. I'm not sure if I'm still on here.
We can hear you now. It went quiet a bit, but we can hear you.
Yeah. Oh well, our network. You'll be hoping that someday they let us out. I've always thought that ZANU-PF does this. They and then that's probably why they want to continue to underdevelop the country, because they don't want us to have conversations about the things that matter and about the progress that we should make. But let me just say that the biggest and the most important thing that we must emphasize at this moment is that let no one, and that the whispers that are being given to our comrades, to our friends, to the champions, from many places are such that what they want to do is to demoralize and then divide, as that's the only strategy they know. Divide the people so that they can continue to rule over them. And it is encouraging that people here understand that it is us who make these decisions. And if anybody will listen to what ZANU-PF is saying about Triple C, about President Chamisa, then they need to question their position in terms of how they gain information and knowledge about our society, and how they then make decisions about how Zimbabwe progresses forward. Everything we know about ZANU is that they've done everything for many years to serve the interests of a few individuals, and everything we know about President James. And that's exactly how you've got to look at this, and about the people that work with him, the citizens that work with him and around him, is that even when they've been so pressed, even when they've been attacked at personal level, even they've been attacked as organizations, these people have continued to carry the burden, and President Chamisa, leading as the citizen champion, have continued to take the right, the correct, and the most difficult path, the path of struggle. At many points, President Chamisa could have chosen the easy way out of a situation, and at many points, people around him, some were tempted to take the easy way out of a situation. You remember after August, the first people attacked him, etc., etc. He stood his ground. And he stood his ground because he wanted to make sure that he didn't give up the people's struggle to the naysayers, most of which were sent by ZANU-PF that wanted to continue to ruin our country. And that whatever noise you hear now, and I hope that you get strengthened, it's noise that wants to push you to that corner that says, you know what, and you can see some of the surrogates that are being sent by the state, by ZANU-PF. There are people that some of us, that a lot of people always knew that one day they would turn over, and that the moment at which they would turn over would be picked up by ZANU-PF. And ZANU-PF picked up this moment, and we cannot give them this moment. It is not their moment, it is the people's moment. And we know why they picked up this moment. They picked it up because throughout history, there hasn't been a dictator that has been unclothed for the whole world to see, as has been ZANU-PF since the elections in August 2023. Everything about how ZANU-PF has been unable to run a country, and now they've been still in elections, has been made bare and open to everybody. Even SADC came to a point where they were very clear that there is no way that ZANU won that election. And we've not had that in history. And then you wonder why. You have the kind of talk that we have now, and even the attempt to debate the constitution of the Triple Z. I want to ask a simple question to most of those that would want to do that, especially in ZANU-PF. Until we tweeted that, look, the appointment of Valerius Vanda into a ZANU-PF Politburo was against the constitution of the country. And there's no country in the world that does that. It's blatant. Act outside the constitution, outside the law. Mnangagwa, every time he appoints a cabinet, he's got to be reminded that he's now making appointments outside the constitution. Every time he's acted outside the constitution. And if there's anybody, and then that's the person I want. Let's find this person, find Jonathan, and say, look, where are you when Mnangagwa is appointing Valerio? Where are you when Mnangagwa is appointing more people than the constitution allows him to? Where are you when Mnangagwa says that we are the army, we are the police, we're everything? Where are you when they're taking over, the whole country's minerals and so forth? We need to ask these realistic questions. On the other hand, President Chamisa has taken nothing from anybody. He's given. So the sideshows must be recognized for what they are. They are sideshows because they're meant to always to divert our attention from the real issues. And the real issues here are the stolen elections of August 2023 and the reports by SADC and every other observer mission that was in the country that said the elections fell far below the standards that are expected, even when you are looking at SADC, which is, traditionally had a very low bar that ZANU-PF could always jump over. It could jump that hoop. They failed to jump that hoop this time around, and therefore they have created this phallus around the around Triple C and the People's Movement. And I think that that's the debate we must have. Let us move to having a debate about moving this country forward instead of allowing ZANU-PF to divert attention from the actual issues, which are the issues around achieving democracy for the people of our country.
Thank you, Dr. Swanda, for that submission. I'm not sure whether our hosts are still on. And I think
it's as if everything goes quiet for me here.
I know. That's the thing of a Twitter space. It's like you're in a hole talking to yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, like how long have I been talking to myself?
No.
You've
given us a lot to think about the day with everything you have said, because suddenly, when it comes to Triple C, over the last 24 hours, everyone is suddenly a constitutionalist and they all have something to say. And yet, when as a country, we are actually under blatant attacks through our constitution, whether it's because they've introduced a new statutory instrument or whatever it is that they've done. I mean, I always say this, that Mnangagwa has, in broad daylight, taken 20 of our biggest state-owned institutions and made them his personal property, and then created an instrument to allow himself to do that, which should be temporary. But we have not seen as much discussion around that as we ought to. I mean, even Kovimba mining, our biggest state-owned mining institution now is coming under this Mutapa investment fund. which means that the citizens, we have lost all visibility of how much we make and who it goes to. Because Mnangagwa has then put an embargo on all their public accounts. They are no longer public. So we didn't know anything about it before. Now we know even less. But no one talks about it. And this is the inheritance of the whole country, you know. But anyway, I also wanted to weigh in on what you were saying around
President Chamisa cannot sneeze. He cannot sneeze in private without people saying that he's sneezing because he wants to eat somebody. President Chamisa cannot hold a child in public and wish them well. There will be all these naysayers that will say, well, he's done that because actually he was planning something against that child. Yet what we have seen in this country is that our laws have been destroyed in our faces every day. And you're right, Chennai, our institutions have been taken over financially. There is no more oversight on any of our national institutions. Mnangagwa arguably has appointed nearly 5 members of his family into the cabinet. No one seems to see that. That is Woneba. And we don't care about these things. Yet what they mean is the death of a nation. You see, if Mnangagwa was somehow slightly competent, slightly capable of thought itself, then you'd say, oh, maybe this guy is attempting to create some kind of monarchical society where, in fact, he has the understanding of how to protect what's important about our country, what's important about posterity, and what's important for our children and the future of our nation. But when you then realize, when you then look at the decisions he's made and how those decisions are so questionable, even at the level of a first grader in primary school, you then realize, we are dying a slow death. And Zimbabweans, some of them, led by some people we thought were working with, are busy, concerning themselves much more seriously about what meal the President Chamisa has had, how many times did he stop when he was walking up the stairs, etc., etc., and what he has said and what that could mean. Yeah, ati wapusa. That's, you cannot say anything without you finding the opposite. And yet Zimbabweans have successfully been hoodwinked again by ZANU into concentrating on destroying their own hope, especially those that we thought have been working with us all along, instead of really focusing on the actual issues. That person to noise by a few individuals on Twitter. This Valerius one, an army general, would be sitting in a ZANU-PF Politburo. Can you imagine that anywhere on earth? It doesn't work like that. But Zimbabweans were not focusing on that. Chiromnangagwa, Zonyara, especially those that we thought were working with before, that now make it their task to attempt to destroy President Chamisa. So I think that, and the People's Movement, I think that we must understand why ZANU is doing this and why they're picking this moment. They're doing this because, as a matter of fact, ZANU-PF lost the elections, and they're now very clear that under the sun, as long as we are in this universe, and as long as President Chamisa remains committed and working for the people, ZANU-PF will continue to lose to him, and they are soon to get to a stage where even rigging is not going to help them. And for that reason, they are pulling no stops to attempting to make sure that they failed to dissuade him. They failed to discourage him, and therefore now they're trying to discourage everybody around him. And I think that the citizens like yourselves that are working with the president are unwilling to be discouraged. And I think that the citizens will continue to certainly support the work, their own work with the president. And I must assure you, and be under no illusion whatsoever, I must assure you that down in the country, and the country that you love so much, up and down the country, There's a very, very small group of people, one that is likely to be bought, and persuaded by ZANU-PF money, that that questions the decisions of President Chamisa, or that has been dissuaded or discouraged. The majority of, an overwhelming majority of our people, an overwhelming majority of the people of the country you love so much, continues to believe that they have to continue working as citizens to free their country. An overwhelming majority. There is no amount of tweeting. There's no amount of a number of WhatsApp groups. There isn't an amount of private posh beer talk that will certainly equal the strength and the capacity of the people that continue to call on President Chamisa to pursue the objectives that they have given him countless times as he's crisscrossed the country, connecting with the citizens. And if you want democracy, democracy is performative. Democracy is what you do. If you want democracy, look at how President Chamisa has conducted himself. Everything he's done, the people tell him what to do, he does exactly that. What President Chamisa hasn't done is force people into saying things, force people into interviews, force people into his meetings. People come voluntarily in the cold of winter in June, July this year. President Chamisa would turn up in a small village, in a small town somewhere, and in a big city somewhere, and people will brave the conditions so only they could tell him what they need him to be doing. And President Chamisa has been approached by many people who thought that they were big and were sponsored by the state or given this or that agenda many times. And you know what? He has always said, look, at the end of the day, we got to go back to the people. We've got to go back to the citizens. And that is what we are going to do. Now, if you want the right decision, if you want to test the decision of the president, if you want to test the constitution, if you want to test our structures, if you want to test the way we do things, our strategies, you need to ask the people. You need to go to the people. And I tell you that, have no doubt whatsoever, President Chamisa is doing well by the people of Zimbabwe. President Chamisa is strong by the people of Zimbabwe, and the people of Zimbabwe are strong-willed in the journey they're undertaking together with the president. And until you have convinced Zimbabwe otherwise, until they've convinced Zimbabwe otherwise, they can make as much noise as they want. I think President Chamisa will continue to work with the people at any and all cost, as he has always done.
Thank you, Dr. Swanda. I just wanted, Chief, I was going to take a leaf out of your book to read this this section. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
There's a section actually in the Constitution which says, there shall be a leader and change champion in chief, in brackets, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, who shall be the administrator and president tasked by the citizens to champion, lead, and guide processes of the movement in between sessions of the CNA until an elective citizen convention is held. The change champion in chief shall be the chief spokesperson and representative of the Triple C, as well as the custodian of his documents, property, and well-being. So you see, what has now happened is we have had this interim situation, which initially was a responsive to what was happening. But it's clearly stated here that this situation will remain until we have our convention. Zvino manje convention yacho tinoiita sei? Kubva 23 August, the country is being held at ransom by an illegitimate government. And they are not just holding us at ransom, they are literally holding us at ransom because they've started the recalls, they've started their abductions, the persecution, the torture. Job Scala is still in jail. So we are so seized by some really big national issues that we must attend to, and it as a movement before we can even move on to say, "Hey, let's move on, let's get a convention, let's do that," because we still have the unfinished business of the 23 August general election. So even though they're saying people are pretending, they take and read the document in abstract without taking into account the context through which it was written, and indeed how it itself resolves around some of these issues. So I think we have a duty, us as citizens, to actually start to share some of this
Hello? Hello?
Well, I can.
We've lost Shania. I thought maybe it was I thought it was my phone. At least I'm here. We've lost Champion Chennai. Uh, okay, she's coming back.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we're waiting for you. We can see you're on
Sorry, I
fire.
don't even know when I broke off.
Not so long. Not so long.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the point I was trying to say is that, the Constitution, even some of the things that people are raising, it self resolves. But we are finding that people will take things in abstract. One thing that one person, whether it's Kuda or whomever, has said, and then it is just being retweeted out of context. When we formed the Triple C, and I say we, as the citizens, right? And we were excited about it. We know that it was we were like 2 months before the March by-elections, and so it so happened that this baby was created, and some interim um arrangements were put in place as clearly stated in the constitution through the paragraph that I have just read, to say that this will remain until we have had our convention. But how do we move on seriously with what Mnangagwa is doing, what ZANU PF are doing with the abduction, torture, persecution, the illegal recalls? We have been put into this state of no man's land since the 23rd of August. Mnangagwa is punishing us as a people because he knows that he is not the chosen president. And it is because of this illegitimacy that we are finding ourselves in this situation. Everyone wants to move on. Everyone wants to move on and do the next thing on the agenda. But we can't, because we are still seized with trying to resolve the crisis that was created by the 23 August general elections. So if you hear anybody saying that, encourage them to read the document in full. I mean, it's only a few pages, for crying out loud. I don't know why people are conveniently choosing to read it out of context, and conveniently choosing to create their own narratives out of it. I think we have proven from what Chief read around the fact that we have these bureaus that have been set up, we have the CNA, we have the intention of a convention as soon as that is possible, and all this, and so on and so forth. Even the precedence of having Advocate Nelson Chamisa's name in the constitution actually happened already. This was set by the constitution of 2009 when we went into GNU, and we had to have names for reasons of Mugabe, Morgan Tsvangirai, Wolfman Ngube, etc. were all mentioned by name in that document. And so it's not something that it was just taken from thin air. It was a precedent, that is a tactile precedent that already has been set in this environment. So it's disconcerting to try and think people are acting like it's something that was plucked out of thin air, etc., etc. So yeah, hopefully, I think maybe host, perhaps we can do maybe questions or other people who want to say something, um, on the space. Thank you.
Thank you, Chennai. Thank you, Dr. Nguleko. You just made it for the people to understand what's going on. Sometimes we have to have 10, 15, 20 speakers for to think through, especially when you're comparing what is happening in ZANU PF. That Emerson Mnangagwa has been, riding over our constitution, our Zimbabwean constitution, willy-nilly appointing his relatives and John Saw and his gang are quiet, and he goes on to appoint members of the military that are constitutionally not supposed to be belonging to any political party. And John Saw and his gang are quiet. Everything that is happening in Zimbabwe right now, especially within our courts, you see the court being broken every day, and John and his gang remain quiet. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Who comes for coming? Thank you, and I know you have. And then maybe if we can also pose a few questions that are very good at that to Dr. Ngululeko. Engineer, I'm seeing you are up there. You speak after Dr. Zwiko. Go ahead, Doc.
Hello, Chief Makadi.
Marova, oh, sorry.
We are forever in the struggle. We are fighting other wars. As you can see, a lot is going on, and definitely there are other areas where we will be putting input. It might not be on social media, but you are there doing something in the background. Before I pose some questions or to Dr. Nku, I just want to comment on the ongoing debate and on the topic on top there. The most important thing that people should take away from the document that is there is that it is a living document. There is a section where it even talks of amendments, and if there is anything that citizens think should be improved, it can actually be improved. So instead of getting worked up about what one might think is not okay, it's better to follow the proper channels, send your suggestions about what you think should be added, because constitution making is an ongoing process. It is a continuous process. Whatever you see was done in consultation with the citizens. What it means is there are millions of us. If it didn't reach you, you can always reach out to Change Radio, Diaspora Desk, Mambo Shoshe, Citizen Kululeko, or anyone to say, I have these suggestions and I think this is going to be an improvement to whatever is there. So this is a living document, and your input is always welcome. You can criticize. If you criticize without taking action, that is not constructive criticism. Whatever you think is not right, find someone to talk to, so that your points can be taken into consideration. That's how we improve everything. If you think the country is not working, you do something. Others decided to form the movement, the Triple C. That's doing something. The reason why we debate and we talk about all these things, it is because there are others who have been doing something, like Dr. Nku, like President. If he decided to say, no, I won't accept the call, I am going to sleep in my house, by now we couldn't even be talking about the constitution. And let me even say, even the document you see, even if it was one page, it means there is someone somewhere who sat down and consulted with certain people and then came up with something. That's an action. So before we criticize, before we do anything, let's ask ourselves, what have I done to make this better, to make the movement better? The movement is under attack. We all see it left, right, and center. And a lot of comrades are losing their lives. Recently, we buried the pastor. These are things that are happening. These are attacks that are coming. And others may come and try to blame everything on the movement, saying this is not done the way I think it should be done. But for me, that's not the correct approach. If something is not right, you go and fix it yourself. You are the citizen. If the constitution is not okay to you, what it simply means is you have failed in your duty as a citizen. You need to go and say, okay, I'm here, I'm a citizen, this is what I think, through the proper channels, not just criticizing, because this is a living document. I think that point, I think it's something that I thought needs to be said. Whatever crisis we are in, it's not by the creation of the movement, and we all know it. Chabangu is not someone who was brought by the movement to the people, and everything that is happening, it is something that is being cooked somewhere. Then, it's part of a series of attacks that we have been facing. And believe you me, there are people who are working day and night to make sure that the movement will never be derailed by anyone. But we are here for
Thank you.
our Spox. Thank you for coming here. So what I'll do, I'll pose a question to Dr. Nku. Then maybe replies whilst the Spox is actually preparing to give us some of the points. So Dr. Nku, we know a lot is going on, and I just want you to give more words to assure the citizens that everything is under control. There's no reason to panic. That's the only challenge I have for you, Dr. Nku. If you can assure the citizens that despite all the winds that are blowing, everything is under control, I would be happy. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Nku.
Thank you for that, and thank you for the issues that you raised, and also for standing steadfast with the people's agenda. And you're absolutely right. The focus at the moment should be on making sure that this barrage of lies, deceptions, it does not result in the citizens, those that continue to work, slowing down the pace of their work or becoming a little bit lethargic. As a matter of fact, we know, and we've already spoken about this. We know why this is the moment the ZANU-PF has decided to change it. I mean, look for yourself. If you know very carefully, you realize that there are a number of people that have been strategically positioned over the last 5 years. A number of things that were being strategically positioned over the last 5 years. And that if you were looking at the Second World War, this is the equivalent of the Allied forces, staging an attack through the English Channel. Firing their biggest guns and the greatest military mobilization, the largest in history, was on that day. This is what ZANU-PF has done after losing the elections in 2023, and after noticing that not even SADC will believe their lies, that nobody in the world is willing to accept the so-called ZANU-PF theft of the elections. And that because it was so blatant, that because President Chamisa had worked so well. Look, when President Chamisa was done with the 2023 elections, you see, we had 2018, and in 2018 people said, but maybe you guys didn't have V11s and V whatever and so forth. You didn't have this thing to do with your election agents and so forth. And President Chamisa listens. When he was done with Mnangagwa in 2023, there was no question anywhere on earth as to whether Mnangagwa stole that election. It was clear to anybody who dared to open their eyes, and it was known to anybody who could listen to anything. It was known to ZANU-PF, it was known to FAS that Mnangagwa had lost that election. And Mnangagwa responded by organizing all these people that he had strategically positioned, that he was strategically positioning to sort of, come at President Chamisa as an allied force, and I call them the allied forces. This day, I'm like, when I go on Twitter, I'm like, oh yeah, the allied forces of this side are attacking, and they're allied on the wrong side of history. So we know why this is happening. There's nothing. The noise that we have is not happening as a result of anything or any missteps or anything that you could question on the side of the democratic movement. What we have now is a response by Mnangagwa to his loss in the election. And we expect him to do that. And therefore, if there's anybody out there who has any doubt, that President Chamisa is moving forward and that is picking up steam and that the wind is in his sails, they need to look at the attempt by ZANU-PF to coordinate an attack on him. ZANU-PF would not be coordinating such an attack from various angles if President Chamisa was in fact trending downwards. They are attacking him because he is that beacon on the hill that everybody can see, and that the darkness that is ZANU-PF is so afraid of. And if you are going to stand on the right side of history, you should look where there is light. You should look, even ZANU-PF is running towards President Chamisa, because that's where the future, the hope, and the light is at. And that to doubt and turn towards the darkness that ZANU-PF presents will not only be a bad choice at this moment, it will also be a bad choice for the country, and will also be trending in the wrong direction in terms of our history. But I'm encouraged, and the last point I'll make on this is that I'm encouraged that when you talk to the people in the country, and this for me has been the most comforting, the most chilling reality that I've come to grasp and to share with others, is that Hakuna nyaya kuvanhu. People know what their movement is supposed to do. The people's constitution of the movement is with the people. The people know their constitution. The people know their champions. The people know who's fighting for them. The people know who's fighting with them. The people know who is destroying them at the same time. And I encourage you, citizens, to continue to be on the right side of history, to continue to fight together with the people of our country who remain steadfast and unfazed by all these attempts at attacking their movement and, of course, the president. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ngu. Very profound, very powerful indeed. I'm seeing Champion Promiser, we had a mic just a minute ago. Let's try to invite him back so that he can speak. He's here.
I'm seeing him as speaker, Chief.
Oh, okay.
On my phone.
My side,
yeah.
He's on the listeners. Champion Promise, can you hear me?
He has dropped. Sometimes
yeah,
it
he's not on the speakers. Who give him the mic. And while we're waiting for Mr. Mkwananzi to come back up, let me demystify and debunk my earlier remark to Dr. Ziko, so that there are no misconceptions. Kana tichitamba tiri kuma inbox madhara anotambawo tinototambawo. So Dr. Ziko vakandiona ndakanyarara ndisiri kuuya kumaspace kana pafacebook, unongoona dzakanaka message donzi chief tichiri tese here makanyararisa. Ini ndikaona Dr. Ziko asiri kuoneka ndongoti dai muning'ina tichiri tese here. So zvazotaurwa pajekerere manje hazvizobudi zvakanaka. But anyway, I'm seeing Champion Promise is here. Barbara, can you try to give Spokes Promise a mic? Maybe it will work better from your side.
I've been trying to give him the mic, Chief. Let me try again.
Okay. Dr. Ziko, my
Champion
network
Promise,
might,
can you accept the mic?
Yes, Chief. Well,
my network might betray me here because I'm in the bush. So if I drop, please continue helping Barbara, because Barbara is here. Is not feeling well. She can start coughing right now, right away, in front of everyone.
We wouldn't want that. What I can say is, citizens, I can see there are a lot of us here, over 140. The reason why we are all here is because citizens, sometimes you have questions. Dr. Nku is here to answer your questions. Champion Promise is here to answer your questions, and the entire team that you are seeing. We know that there are a lot of discussions that are happening, and sometimes it is good to get your information from the right sources. So this is the time when you take the mic, you ask the questions that you want to ask, and get answers from the people who can give you authentic answers, who can answer you from the position of the movement, who can actually tell you exactly what's going on and what's the stand. So rather than complaining later, I would encourage you to take the mic, come and ask your questions, and then you get the correct answers. Now, this is the best time for you to get your answers. And I can see Muroji or something like that is here. I'm not a host.
I
but,
think is Promise here as well. Ndaona kunge Promise adzoka.
Spox, are you here now? He has dropped again. Okay. So I will hand over to the co-host, Sister Estella, if you can go ahead and do your thing. Thank you.
Mr. Morosi, you can go ahead and speak.
Host,
And then
sorry,
Grandpa-
host, are we recording? Are we recording this? Sorry, I'm just checking. Is this being recorded? It might be a good idea to record. Okay. I'm not sure, to be honest. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Mzukuru wangu Murozi, you can go ahead.
Mkanya pamusoro mkanya nevese vakabata zvigaro very respectable champions wherever you are. Muroji here. I just wanted to humbly say hello to my brother, Dr. Siwanda, and also thank you very much for your eloquence, and not only that, but your humbleness, your genuineness, your leadership that is fulfilling to all the listeners. I know the majority of champions, myself here, I'm very much encouraged. I'm very much empowered with your presentation because it is, to the best of my understanding, very truthful. I just wanted to start by applauding the point that you mentioned. Unfortunately, some of the people who are supporting the regime, when they are on their toes, running away from the regime, when you said, the likes of John, so I was very humbled because you talk what people want to hear, and that's exactly right. When our chief champion is doing anything, including, I'm sure, just breathing, John Doe will talk about it and many others. But when something very terrible is happening in ZANU-PF house, these people will be very quiet. And I'm asking myself, why are they doing this when they know where the destruction is coming from? So, let me say this other point before I ask my question. You just ended up by emphasizing that citizens in Zimbabwe, within Zimbabwe, and you were very clear on that, have got a very clear position that they are supporting the change champion. They are very clear. They are supportive. And they are asking him to stand strong because they believe in him. And they are waiting the change that they really want to see and live. Now, Dr. Siwanda, you may not have the answer right now, but I'm glad we also have our spokes, champion Promise Mkwanan. We are citizens in USA, in Canada, in Europe, in Australia. For the longest time, we don't want to hear ZANU-PF telling us that when the president is coming to see the citizens wherever I just mentioned, he's going to see Varungu. My name is Mroji, madam. I'm pure Mroji from Great Zimbabwe. And it's Murungu. We want him to come and be with us, encourage us, give us the vision when we see him there, just like every citizen that is supporting our president inside Zimbabwe. ZANU-PF cannot tell us what we should do. We must do what we must do. Are you in a position to tell those who are lying daylight that tiri varungu President Chamisa vaenda kundoona vana Muroji, vana Chifi, vana Dr. Ziko, wherever they are outside the country. Saka varungu vavari kuenda kundoona. We want our president. When are we going to have such a good time with our own chief champion? Thank you very much for that opportunity.
Um. Have we lost Chief?
Yes.
Okay. I think I will give it a go to respond and to respond, and then maybe others can also chime in there. You see, the thing is, at the moment, like I said before, our timeline has been disrupted. We have major issues happening at a national level. That means that, whether it's our change champion in chief, or it's some of the more senior champions, in terms of, as much as that should be on the agenda, that is something that should have happened now from the election or whatever. But we are so seized with things that are happening that are of national importance, such as the recalling of the MPs, the recalling of councillors. I mean, the abduction, torture, murder of citizens mean that some of these things, as much as we all desire for them to happen, they may have to be put on the back burner, just because our country is literally, we are literally burning. We have been declared the state of emergency in terms of cholera. So you can also just imagine, like, that situation means that we have to be seized with some of these issues at this point. So I mean, I'm not necessarily speaking on behalf of anybody, but just from where I'm standing and looking at what is happening per ground, Parukupisa, there are things that really need to be addressed on a day-to-day basis. You see, our lawyers, they're in and out of court. Before they go to court, there are a lot of people that they have to get together, they have to discuss, they have to pull together the arguments and make sure that everything aligns. We then have to see kuti ko pari kumbozi mameya arikolewa, how is that handled? How is the backfill being handled? And now we have by-elections beginning of December. We might have some other ones probably beginning of January, and so on and so forth. So all these things mean that as a country, like I said before, we are being held hostage. We can't move. We can't even deal with the cholera crisis because of Mnangagwa just, doing Mickey Mouse things with our lives. I'm sure the others might want to add on to that as well.
If I can quickly come in, champion, I was also debunking the approach that ZANU is also doing, because we are also seeing some tweets from some of our change champion leaders, even if they just travel, just like any ZANU person traveling anywhere outside Zimbabwe, they are asked why they are traveling and so. So my question is not to just say we want the chief champion here in USA or in Australia or anywhere. But it is a question that is also very solid on saying the change champion is also leading Zimbabweans all over the world, just like ZANU has its supporters all over the world, and nobody is blocking them. And he's talking about them going to see their members, partying, having top-notch whiskeys and what have you all over the world. But we are just want to see our change champion, and that must be said because remember very well, there is nothing that we do, and we don't have these people among us. They must know what we want, and we must be very resolute on that. That must think in their way of doing business. Because we are Zimbabweans, we approve our change champion to come and be with us. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm still here. It looks like we're operating a Zimbabwe network today. Everyone gets cut off.
So, yeah, I think it was someone speaking, and then they just went.
I hope what I just finished saying, everybody got it, because I think it was just Dr. Ngolole saying, we are operating on Zimbabwe system here. We are cut off. Whether it is strategically done or so, I don't know. But my point, my final point there that I was trying to revisit was that I wanted to, or I was saying, yes, most of us here, we are citizens. But let us not forget that we have their ears everywhere. And what they must know is that kuna namuroji vari ku Washington DC, they want to meet their chief change champion, and they don't need
to constitution. All right.
So we must be very resolute on that point, that when we want to have our chief change champion, we are the people who stand to tell them what we are doing, not them to direct us to tell us what we are going to be doing. That we must say no to ZANU. That was my point that I was emphasizing or revisiting. Thank you.
Thank you. We're still trying to get Mr. Mkwananzi to come up here. I just invited him. I'm seeing Dang Baba Mateo is now on the speakers, but let's go to our councillor. He has been on there for quite some time. Councillor Pumelo Nomoyo, we welcome you to the program. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, and good evening to everyone. Yeah, I've been following the speakers that just spoke earlier on. People who are clear on our problems, they're articulating the problems of our country so well. Because the challenge we are facing on the attack of this struggle is ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF is trying to divert the attention of the suffering masses, and they are trying to concentrate to make sure that people keep on talking about how the CCC is being dismantled, but we know the end is coming from ZANU-PF. And as the people, as the citizens, we are not, our spirits are not heartbroken. We know that you are advocating for change, and change is going to come at last. We are certain about that. We have got no doubt that there were so many detectors in the history who were worse than Mnangagwa himself. People like Hitler, Napoleon, they all fell, and their history now, we are talking about them in the history books. And their nations succeeded at last. Look at Germany, how it succeeded thereafter Hitler. So we have got no doubt that in the future, President Advocate Nelson Chamisa is going to become the president of this country, and this nation is going to prosper. So that's the faith, that's the hope that everyone we are keeping as the nation. And certainly is said that ZANU-PF is using some amongst us to destroy the CCC, to destroy the vibrant opposition that actually won the 2023 elections, and is something that is not good. And those people, they will come in the history books as having done something like that. And I think even their children won't be proud of them when they read them in the history books, what they tried to do is assisting ZANU-PF as a tool that were used by ZANU-PF. But all the same, we keep on the hope, and I can tell you it's just a matter of time that people of Zimbabwe are going to celebrate once again when the President Advocate Nelson Chamisa regains both the power in CCC and become president again, also for the Zimbabwe, for everyone. And I've got no doubt that he's going to transform this great nation. This nation is suffering from number one, looting, number two, maybe misappropriation of resources, and we lack priority. For why I'm saying so, because look now, we're saying there are no medicines in the hospitals. There is absolutely nothing to look forward to. Even people earn peanuts, but you have got 5 million that we are willing to go and take to the so-called by-elections. So it's just a matter of priorities. It's not per se that we are lacking as a nation. So all these things, the misgovernance, there are things that we surely know that they are going to be things of the past one day, and that one day I've got no doubt that it's very soon, and I can repeat that confidently that change is coming in this country. You can't stop an idea of a time will come. Look at these direct attacks that are being done by ZANU-PF through the citizens movement. It's a show of panic that they've never seen a formidable opposition, an opposition that is driven by citizens. Surely defeated them in the elections after it was just been formed in less than
I think our councillor has been cut off there, right?
No, he's speaking. I can hear him
we can
speaking.
hear him. We can hear him. It's you, Chief.
Huh?
We can hear him.
Okay, can I carry on?
Is it me or is the council?
It's you.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies.
We can hear him, Chief. You can hear him.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, let me proceed.
It's you, Chief.
Okay, I was saying the panic is coming from that. Look at the time frame when the CCC, the Citizens Movement, was formed, and what it has achieved. So this ZANU-PF is not under any delusion to not see what the CCC, the movement citizen, is capable of. That's why they have in the past they haven't been paying much attention to the opposition, but now seeing that this opposition is a formidable opposition, an opposition driven by the citizens that is become a threat to their rulership. They are even investing in some of the organizations that you have never known about them in the past. They are FARS, they are everything, and it's just a clear sign that they are in panic, in a desperate situation. They are cornered and they don't know what to do. They are just even instead of concentrating on fixing the challenges of this country is now going for 20 hours. There's a load shedding. This country has got no water. This country has cholera. There are a lot of challenges, just to name just a few. But now that they can't even attend to or try to at least to attend those challenges, is a clear sign that they know their numbers their days are numbers. And like I said earlier on, surely Triple C led by our champion-in-chief, President Advocate Nelson Chamisa, it's just a matter of days before it takes the absolute state power. And ZANU-PF knows about it. That's why they are doing these attacks. For now, I'll end here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Is it me who can't hear everyone, or have we gone quiet again?
Yes, we can hear you, Champion Estella, and the councillor was speaking. We're hearing him.
Councillor has gone quiet. I think he's done.
Can you hear me, Champion?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Champion Estella, and the councillor was speaking. We're hearing him.
Councillor has gone quiet. I think he's done. I think he's done, yeah. Can you hear me, Champion? Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Champion Estella, and the councillor was speaking. We're hearing him.
Councillor has gone quiet. I think he's done. I think he's done, yeah.
No.
Well, me.
Me as well.
maigwase haiwa ndanchida kungotaura kuti isu ndisu vanhu vacho ende tinoti God is in it ende takatomirira kupemberera tine hembe dzatakatotenga kudhara saka zviri kuitwa nezanu izvi they are wasting their time yedu ndeyamwari ende vese ivava vachaenda kumadustbin. Saka ndisu vanhu vacho vari kutaura macitizens. Saka hatisi kutombotya, tiri kutoziva kuti tiri kuenda state house. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much. Change Radio as well, Mabosose, Champion Estella, and everybody. This is a moment that we need to speak, especially about debunking and demystifying all that has been said. Before I give my submission and also ask questions to Dr. Sibanda and the councillor who is with us here, I just wanted to say, yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, I just discovered that there was a space from the general chat which had almost 700 or so people are listening to the so-called professor speaking mainly about the constitution. And I think this space is rightfully placed to debunk all those issues that were being brought about by the professor. Unfortunately, amongst us, there could be other people who could have actually bought into the idea that has been brought about by the professor, and as far as interpreting our constitution and how he placed on whether it was a reaction to what is happening now or it has been there. So now, what I would want to say is it is a dismay to realize that we have got people from within Zimbabwe who are constantly on numerous occasions and on different platforms sparing most of their time demonizing a program that is designed to reshape or bring about change into the country, which has been ruined by the regime. And there hasn't been any time at which these people have actually spared their time to say, we have seen all that Mnangagwa is doing as far as bringing about the echelons of the military, of the police, of state institutions into the alignment of ZANU-PF, in the Politburo of ZANU-PF, in contravention of the national constitution. And the same people are the ones who do come and want to dictate on how the constitution of a political party should be put in place. That's the problem. We have got the same people who do not even realize that the electoral manipulation that has taken place on the 23rd of August, they don't speak about that, but they still want to portray President Nelson Chamisa and the Triple C as something that or as an institution that is undemocratic, that is full of dictators. That's a problem, and it's a shame to Zimbabweans. But just to quickly end my submission, I wanted to ask either Dr. Sibanda and the councillor that is here to say we realize that information is power to every institution, to every society. And the way in which information is relayed to people is different. There's so much of propaganda that has been taking place in Zimbabwe, especially through the mainstream media, electronic and print. We go to the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation with during the elections, we have had a situation in which the Triple C through President Nelson Chamisa have not had a chance to go to the electorate through the main broadcaster. The Herald, we have not had any advertisements for the Triple C and so on. Unfortunately, these are the platforms under which a lot of Zimbabweans would have to access their information. What are we doing, especially in demystifying and debunking all the propaganda that is being portrayed by ZANU-PF, especially knowing that our ordinary people on the ground, they can easily buy into all that is being said by ZANU-PF? That's the question that I would want to pose to Dr. Sibanda as well as the councillor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother Denford. Champion Chennai, can you please call Spokes so that he can speak through one of your devices? He is failing to connect on the space, but he wants to speak.
Okay, let me try that.
Yeah, so
Don't drop
go to Foxville. Fox Wise, sorry. That's please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to speak about the Constitution. At least we want to thank the President and a Constitution. I also want to say that it is a document that, a working document that people use that suits their situation or the way they want to operate. So from the situation where the Triple C is in at the moment,
the document, it looks very well and able to it's a functional document that can be used against the enemy that the citizens are facing on a daily basis. And what I would also want to ask the leaders, some that are here, is given the way ZANU-PF is attacking through Chabangu, the party, what else also, because we should also not fold hands. And I know people talk of infiltrations, all these things, but also we can't just stand, and we also must infiltrate that ZANU-PF also and attack it, because of whether it's by legal warfare, it's by whatever means, because of these guys are ruthless, they are crude, they are cruel, they don't care about even the people that voted. To say more than 2 million people voted for a particular party, and they just want to disregard that. So now that the constitution is there, the court cases are ongoing in terms of fighting this Chabangu side show, whatever is happening, the diplomatic efforts are going on. But I think the leaders must also look at the diversity in terms of skills and personnel among the. I like the part of the constitution which talk about membership. That it's also bringing a clarity on people who want to be members and so forth, not just supporters and followers, but people that want to partake effectively in this organization. And we have a lot of Zimbabweans that, citizens that are willing to share their skills, because of, I think, the number of people that voted plus the number of people that have been sidelined from voting. I think we are more than enough to take down this elephant called ZANU-PF. We should be able to use various skills and various tactics to. I think that's where more in this next 5 years should be a priority. Instead of just taking the punches, we should also be able to go to cross the line into the enemy line and also inflict damage there, because of those guys at the moment. They are having a lot of they are, in as much as this is a sham election and disputed election, but these punches that they are throwing at the moment and making an organization has to prove itself, has to go to court and all these things. I think a lot of work and a lot of recruitment and bringing more members lively and platforms where people can now be able to come with strategies and means. You see, I'm seeing this from a personal perspective. Even in a country where I am now, which is South Africa, there's a lot of things that goes on with when you look at the politics from the social media or on TV, it looks like it's not toxic like in Zimbabwe, but it's very brutal. Municipalities are toppled day in, day out. Government puts its hands where the opposition is. There's the same thing that is happening. So even the opposition does also the same thing. So we should be able to use various tactics. There's a lot of things that we can do to also inflict a pain also to it. We can't just take punches. I yield my submission.
Okay, thank you, my brother. I don't know if Dr. Nku, you managed to get the question from our brother in South Africa. If you want to attend to it right away and maybe make other comments from what other speakers have been contributing. We don't want to keep you quiet there. I know you have a lot to share. And meanwhile, folks, we are still trying to get hold of our spokes, Mr. Promise Mkwananzi. We might have to bring him through another gadget because he's failing to connect here. Over to you, Dr. Ngulule.
Well, thanks for that. I think that even for me, I found the discussions here to be quite encouraging. Here, citizens unfazed by what's happening. You know, Morozio was saying, look, according to him, and he's my brother, you know, let the sideshow carry on. Isuzu atinodandizve kuti tisangane
What's happening? What happened to Dr. Ngololego? Okay, he's connecting, so you can put Kwananzi through Estelle. Okay, put him through.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Spokes, we have been waiting long for you. Please go ahead. Okay, go ahead, Dr. Ngululego. My apologies for that. It looks like Dr. Ngululeko, I can't see here.
Chief, can I possibly just
Champion
come
Estella.
in whilst you are trying? Whenever you get them, you can take me off.
You can go ahead and mute, and then we can have Dr. Sibanda. Dr. Sibanda, I know you've been trying to connect for a long time. Dr. V. Sibanda, because we also have Dr. Ngululego. Dr. V. Sibanda.
Good evening, and thank you very much for the opportunity to say just a small, a piece. Look, I think we all know that if there ever
Okay. Thank you, Chair. My question would be on, obviously, for now, he spoke about the issue of preparation for convention, uh, national convention. What I saw the part of membership, because of majority of us, we may not be actively involved, but to be a member and participate just as a member. How does that process go about? Yes, very much. Thank you. I'm very much well answered, and I would want others to also to ask their own questions. Though I would have wanted, I'll come back after. Maybe my follow-up question would be, I know it might be trivial, but I think for the benefit of us, those who support the movement and love the movement and willing to die for the movement, we want to know this Chabango guy, is he working alone or is he handled by other people from the movement itself or is from SANPF? Maybe from your own perspective, Spokes, if you can also share, because of there's a lot of talk on the social media and we don't know which leaders to trust at this present moment and to follow. Thank you.
Yes. Do we still have some speakers? Because
Can
I'm tired. I want to rest now. Since I'm the host, if I sleep, guys, I'll sleep with your
we'll be
space.
going on until the morning, Barbara. Can
Yeah.
I just say one small thing before um my final submission as well, because I think I'm also getting to that point. I wanted to say that really, when all is said and done, right, we have this regime that is bloodthirsty. We have a bloodthirsty regime that will not stop at anything to amass power and to further their corruption appetite, if you like. We have seen already, we are seeing members of parliament, former members of parliament, people that they are being targeted, councillors, like what happened to Councillor Wombe, who are being targeted and just persecuted. Now, can you imagine? We can put out even a petition, and people, Zimbabweans, are scared to sign even a petition. And rightly so, because we are working with a regime that is, it is dangerous. They are not scared of killing people. And so people are even scared to sign even petitions, right? And here you have somebody who says, you know what? If they want to come after anyone at the moment, insofar as this movement is concerned, to get us to the period of general election and until we have our convention, let them come after me. That's what having his name in there is saying and doing, right? But instead of people saying, okay, to me, that is a very noble act. It's something that if we were to really take a survey, even right now on this space, how many people are able to stand up to ZANU-PF to that extent, knowing the repercussions of what will happen? And don't believe that because we see kind of like the side of politics that it's we see a leader and all this, but his life is affected, his family life is affected, the people that are members of parliament, their lives are affected, and so on and so forth. So we every time we evaluate and look at what is happening, we must never lose sight of the context through which it is happening. And we must never lose sight when we say, okay, we are now moving around with a broken leg. It's broken because ZANU-PF broke it. That is the response to the situation that we are in. And I think it's only fair that as we look to respond to what the regime Marakashi are saying, or even as we also introspect ourselves, that we take a moment to actually acknowledge and contextualize the situation that we have had to respond to, and understand that this is what has brought us here, and this is how we will get out. And I think that's kind of the final thing that I will say with regards to this. Thank you for having me on the space, guys. Cheers.
Can can I possibly just say a word? I haven't got much yet to say. Oh yes, Wong. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, okay, I've been listening through. Yeah, uh, after having seen the topic about the constitution, I think the questions that I had have already been answered by the spokes. And what I wanted really to say is, what is happening with ZANU-PF is an intensification of its strategy to bring a one-party state in Zimbabwe. It's not something new. We have seen it over the years. It's happening all the time. And, if you see as an opposition, ZANU-PF going for your throat, it means they can see that you are genuine. They can see that the chances of them losing power is great. and that's what they do. And I'm happy to say to hear that there was a convention today that to ensure that we have a ratified constitution that we can also take to the rest of the citizens so that they understand. Because you see, the thing is, not everyone attends these meetings. Not everyone really understands how things work. Not everyone will understand the constitution when it comes when it is distributed. So it is up to us, some of us here, to actually explain it to the citizens so that they can understand, and for them to actually follow and believe and then act on behalf of the of CCC. And as you can see, I mean, I think it has been said already that what ZANU-PF had wanted from the word go was to get hold of President Chamisa and throw him in prison. If he had said something that would have meant he has been, if they thought whatever he would have said is towards violence, that's what they were actually trying to instigate. And I'm glad that the president saw it, and the president is stayed away from such utterances that would have put our struggle in jeopardy. But I can assure you, the people are quite clear. The people know who their leader is. The people know who their leaders are. So there is no doubt in my mind that yes, it may be derailed, but it will soon come. Thank you.
Thank you, Baba Mateo. Let's, Champion Estelle, I think we can give the people that are on the speaker platform a few minutes to round up as we get close to end our program. Dr. V. Sibanda, and then we go to Violet, or to, is it Maigwaze? Okay. And then our councillor, Councillor Mpumela Rumoyo. Dr. V, you can go ahead. It looks like Dr. V is not hearing my Gwaze. Please go ahead and give your final remarks. Yes. Okay. Maybe he's still, while he's still preparing. I think what this space has done, of course, it has clarified most of the issues that were being raised by, our Eastwire friends. And it has also made it clear that the Constitution has always been there. But of course, it could not just be put out there for the reasons that were also fully explained here, that we are dealing with an animal. We are dealing with different kinds of enemy in Zimbabwe. The situation in Zimbabwe is not the same as in other countries, in Zambia, in South Africa, even in other dictators. Our situation is very different, and we have to come up with ways, with tactics, with strategies, so that we evade all those that are coming after us. President Chamisa, Triple C, is being attacked by the soldiers, by the CIO. Now they've even brought in FARS. All that ammunition is aimed at us. And for us to survive, and thank God we are still surviving. For us to survive, we have to come up with means and ways our survival this far has been to block all the loopholes, all the channels, all the holes where information has been flowing out. Because once your enemy has information, they can counter strategize against you. They can approach people, get the information, and use it against you. So that's one of the reasons why we had not seen the constitution by now. But of course, like Chennai said earlier, and also Dr. Nkululeko, if we were not having all these shenanigans after the 23rd election, by now the party would have held its convention, an elective convention that has been on the cards for the longest time. And by this time, would have had it, and the constitution would have been unveiled. But again, we could not do that. The party could not do that because of Shabangu, ZANU PF, FAZ, and all the people that are coming after it. 6 months from now, we'll be answering the same questions. Why are you not unveiling the constitution? But we are seeing what is happening. Even if we go back, you also see events that are prevented or that would have prevented us to have a convention at that time because of what has been explained by the champion in chief. What also was made clear here is that the people of Zimbabwe, the citizens of Zimbabwe, are very clear of where they are. Where they are is where they were on the 23rd of August. Where they are today is where they were before the 23rd of August. Just that day before we casted our votes, we knew where we were then, and we know where we are today. We stand by our leader, as Baba Mateo said, the people know their leader. The people know their leaders. So whatever they bring to us, whatever they throw at us, they can throw 10, 15 kitchen sinks at us, but we will not move from where we are because we know what is there. As some of the pastors were saying during the burial of our Bishop Messiah, the pastors were saying very clearly saying that the people know what is on President Chamisa. Hanzi vari kuziva huchi huri ipapo. That's why vachiramba varipo. So we know we have that hope, and that hope will never go away, will never leave us, because we know that a new great Zimbabwe is written in the constitution that we are discussing here today. A new great Zimbabwe that is for everyone is coming. It's on the horizon. It might delay. I know some people want a new great Zimbabwe yesterday. They want it tomorrow. I also want it tomorrow, but it's never the nature of any struggle that you want struggle today and you get it tomorrow. So as a citizenry, as Zimbabweans, we are prepared to go the mile. We are prepared to go the distance, even if the freedom that we are fighting for, the new great Zimbabwe that we are fighting for, even if it doesn't come tomorrow, we'll still continue to fight until it comes. Sometimes it can take generations. Sometimes it can take a lifetime. But the key is never to give up. You cannot give up because there's been someone called Shabangu. You cannot give up because there's been someone called Monzora. You cannot give up because ZANU-PF is doing what it does best to destabilize the opposition. We will not give up. We should not give up. We must never give up. So thank you so much, fellow citizens, for being here and for your contributions. We appreciate you. God bless you. Over to you, host or co-host Estella. You say your words, and then our host, who is not feeling well, will close the space with your final remarks.
Thank you so much, Estela, my co-host. Thank you so much, Chief Shoshe, my co-host, my speaker, and thank you so much to all the speakers, um, uh, and all the listeners. I think this was a very good space, and um, like the topic says, debunking and demystifying the CCC constitution. I think our job as citizens is to share whatever information we'll be having with other people that do not have the information, because they say information is power. When people have got information, they have power to decide. So this is what we've been doing, giving information so that people can decide. Thank you so much. Good night or good morning to other parts of the world. Good afternoon, Kunana Chifa. We are about to go to bed now. In Zim, I think it's now midnight, Shaiko. Thank you so much. I'll just play a song whilst we leave the space. Thank you so much for attending. Izwai makatendwa mese lizizwe libongiwe lonke. Thank you. I will leave you. I know people will not go now. I will play this song for you by Mazore.